Hello everyone, in this video I'll be showing you a level 60 Chroma build for Harlowe in Borderlands 4. This is going to be using the red skill tree, and honestly it is very powerful against Thol. You do not want to use it against Subjugator often because but you can get the platinum time here relatively easily. And the thing is, we don't even have to use any other gun but the Flash Cyclone here. So I'm also throwing in the bismuth tipped daggers here, which is going to allow us to deal additional radiation damage to targets. And you can see there, we almost got through Subjugator there really quickly. Obviously these eyes are being very annoying, and using Ripper parts with an action skill you got to quickly activate does make this a little bit more annoying. But yeah, you see it melts bosses. And it's honestly really good against most things in this game. It's also good against Bloom Reaper, the Invincible, pretty much every single Vault boss. And you can see here, it can get melting because we're adding our action skill damage. I haven't really been using a whole lot of red skill tree Harlowe because our green is just by far much better. But it honestly does some pretty solid damage output against these bosses. Subjugator obviously being really annoying because he flies around, and if your aim is not perfect, like I do miss quite a few shots here, I'm still able to get the platinum time, so you don't have to worry too much about that. The invincibility phases are the worst, but the thing is, you can store your action skill damage to get it onto your gun, so you can kind of think ahead whenever there's those low dull periods there. As mentioned, you just want to chock them full of the bismuth tip daggers, which increase the radiation damage they end up taking. And then as you activate your action skill, it turns all your damage into radiation damage. Kind of dislike that the Gearbox ended up doing that to this. Neutron capture used to be a whole lot more powerful before the game even released. It was 10% instead of 4. Very powerful skill, but as you can see there, we're actually doing a pretty considerable amount of damage against Thol the Invincible here. And you only have to do this in Ultimate Vault Hunter 6 because you can get the new firmware if you really wanted it in Ultimate Vault Hunter 6, and it just saves you the headache because green skill tree Harlowe is by and far better. I do have a build for that if you want to see it, but I really enjoy using this playstyle. It's fun to have your action skill activate so often and have all these darts flying around. So yeah, I find this to be a personally enjoyable one, and you can get the platinum time pretty easily with it. And if you don't have the DLC to get the bismuth tip daggers, don't worry. In all honesty, the critical hit knife's probably better for my testing, just because getting crits allows you to get your ammunition back and fire for longer. And you also don't need the Flash Cyclone because there's a lot of new SMGs that fit this very well. Even the Parasite. I personally prefer Juliet's Sparkle here. This is insanely powerful for a Pearlescent. The Dark Beast also works great, and the new Jailbroken Gatling because it shoots really quickly. That's all we're caring about. And the Mantra does Mantra things. You can actually get your fire rate up even quicker using this. But I'll show you the build here right from level 1, explain why we're going with certain options. So we care a lot about our action skill damage because once we get to Neutron capture here, we're taking 4% of action skill damage dealt. Again, that used to be 10%, it was pretty insane. And it used to not convert your damage to radiation, but it is what it is. Just makes Subjugator like a huge pain and much better to go against Thol. So for our first thing, we're taking field ready prototype. More action skill damage is going to be more gun damage when we shoot our shots afterwards. I also then like to take elementary here. This will give you increased elemental damage. It's not fully necessary because Cyclotron is so good. Increasing our fire rate just allows us to put this out a little bit quicker. So you can go 1 point in there and 4 points into this if you prefer. And since we're doing so much radiation damage, Enrich just makes a lot of sense. After that, we'll put our last point into Cyclotron there and then go with elementary. And we will be using Neutron capture again, but we want to get down to the middle demon core here. This is pretty powerful. So we got glow up here, gains critical hit chance with guns against irradiated enemies. We're irradiating enemies. It is much better than the poison sun, which does give us more radiation damage, but critical hit chance is just important, and you'll see why once we get to the green skill tree. Now, I have Fissile Launcher for my class mod, so I'm going to put a few points into Chain Reactor. Fissile Launcher is actually pretty funny, but we're going to put a couple more points into Poison Sun there so we can grab Demon Core. So this will make it so that when we shoot our action skill, it's going to shoot off darts, which is going to increase the amount of action skill damage that it deals. Whenever we entangle an enemy when our action skill is active, it automatically will irradiate that enemy. And it does considerable amount of radiation dart damage, so it's 10k per dart. And again, that's all getting added to Neutron capture, which we're then going to take 1 point of Dirty Bomb. So when we irradiate an enemy, it does a radiation explosion, which does 40% of the total damage. Tron! That's actually Harlow's last name. Not worth taking wasted because we do have a lot of points that we want to put. This build will scale well when the level cap increases later in the fall. Afterwards, we're going to take points into momentum. When we entangle an enemy, we get increased critical hit damage. Since we're going to get some crits off from our red skill tree ability glow up, we want to take that. Mass function is pretty fun, but we don't need reload speed. Unless you're playing with friends, that can be really good. But we're going to go with Neutron Decay. Whenever we irradiate an enemy, we get increased gun damage. So this can stack up to 50%, and it'll happen fast because we irradiate very often. We also want to take, whenever we deal radiation damage, we get increased action skill damage. We can get 5 stacks of that. And again, that's going to further scale up our Chrome Accelerator, which will feed back into our gun damage. After that, 2 points of confirmed of reality. When we shoot an entangled enemy, we're going to get Chrome Accelerator back. This is an insanely powerful skill. You don't even need 3 stacks into it because we get our action spell back so quickly. Now after this, we want to get the critical funding so we can get ammo. Reloading is going to slow down the damage that we deal, so this is kind of RNG because we have a critical hit chance there, but it is what it is. It's going to give us a big boost to overall DPS from all the testing that I've done. Harlowe's Certainty Principle will give us increased gun handling. We don't have Flux Generator, so it's only 50%, but we're going to then take critical funding. I like to go with the full 5 stacks of this. This only has a 15% chance, but it gives 5 ammo on a crit, so you can sustain your fire rate quite a bit if you don't miss shots. If you miss them, you're obviously not able to get crits, so that does hurt it. We can go with the Meltdown because critical hits will deal bonus radiation damage up to 40%, which is pretty insane. However, there's some other options here within the blue skill tree. Make Extraordinary is actually pretty crazy because we get critical hit chance with all skills. This increases every time we entangle an enemy. This effect can stack, so you can get a critical hit chance 10%, additional crit chance 5%. You can get 10 stacks of that. So that gives you a huge critical hit chance with your skill, which will then further boost up the damage quite a bit. Not fully necessary though. The build that I was using was actually taking Meltdown here and continuing on with that. We have 3 more points left. I like to at least put 1 point into Excited State. Whenever we damage an enemy with our action skill, the next shot on that enemy will be an automatic critical hit. Again, further giving us even better damage. We just shoot so fast, it doesn't really matter a whole lot. And you could not use those points and put them into Decoherence if you prefer. Decoherence is crazy. If you can get the Reactor class mod with 5 points into it, that's the absolute best because this is going to give us bonus damage to entangled enemies. At 5 points is 25%, and bonus damage takes all of our gun damage increases, so we get some pretty crazy damage output from using this. Decoherence is literally Harlowe's best skill. When the level cap increases, we can get the feedback loop, which will give us action skill damage, and then even more bonus damage. Like, Harlowe is going to scale insanely well. It's just our green skill tree plays so nicely with all the other skills here. But yeah, I did try out the other capstone abilities here. This just ends up giving us the most damage to output, and Demon Core is just really the best. Now, I actually got Platinum Time with a few different of the class mods here. For those that say that the red skill tree sucks, it's honestly not that bad. Like, the green's obviously just so insanely good that it makes this look worse, but I like the Phlebotomist if you got this. Whenever action skill is active, dealing gun damage to an enemy has a chance at hemorrhage, dealing kinetic status effect damage on damage dealt. Hemorrhage deals double the amount of damage. This is pretty powerful, but the rolls into Unstable Isotope, the blue skill, can give us 45% bonus cryo damage when we get a kill. Now, the mobs in this arena are really annoying. They have such high defense, 6 million health. They're impossible to kill. So this is hard to get off. I like to just go with the reactor alternatively, because when we entangle an enemy, we get a reactor stack. This gives us 2% movement speed, but at 10 stacks, we get a plus 10 fire rate and gun damage and reload speed. We really want to get that fire rate. The faster we can fire, the better. Getting fire rate on this is also really nice, and I'll get to firmware in a moment, but watts for dinner. Now, this is a little bit tricky because there's an alternative build that I actually was experimenting around with where you take distributive function. Whenever action skill damages an enemy, we get a portion of our ally shield capacity. This will give you overshield as well, which gives you uptime. It's much better on the green skill tree though, so I just went past that. So a siphon watts for dinner is a little bit better. I just didn't have one at the time, and I took this from another character playing hot potato with this thing. The Super Soldier can be pretty solid as well, giving you a further increased fire rate. Again, that's just a crazy boost for our DPS. If you're mobbing, the fireworks will be a good shield as well. Those would be like the top 3. Also, you can get a Cinder Shelly with a siphon and an amp on it. That'd also be really good because it gives you a bunch of damage reduction. Honestly, a pretty solid shield, underrated for sure. Now for our enhancement, I like a Maliwan one on here. So this with Maliwan licensed parts, deal 10% bonus damage with the gun's inactive mode's element. So this can further give you even more damage. I wasn't using any of the alt fire ones, but this still gave, I just have good rolls on this with gunfire rate. This will also give guns with Maliwan licensed parts plus 25% status effect damage. We do a lot of status effects, so this does help out. For our Ordnance, as mentioned, Bismuth Tip Dagger is nice. Honestly though, Critical Hit Knife was more consistent for me because this will give, if you throw 3 of them, it's 90% crit rate with our skill. That gives us 100%, giving us infinite ammo. This is just by far a best in slot item for a lot of builds. You can also throw on like the Slippy or Waterfall, other grenades work as well, but I like the Bismuth Tip Dagger because this will make enemies take 15% more radiation damage for every attached dagger. You've probably seen in the video where I was just continually throwing these. It just does a crazy amount of damage. But again, Critical Hit Knife is probably the best in slot for this build. Now for our triple bypass Repkit here, I like the one with the fire rate if you can find it. That's obviously, it's hard to find rolls that are perfect, but I also did have a war paint because this gives us 30% increased fire rate. Terrible rolls on this. If you can find a war paint with an increased chance to get it like a less cooldown version, that would be best because it gives you 30% fire rate and movement speed, which movement speed is amazing, but it's much more than the fire rate needed here. This has 3 charges though, so you constantly want to be spamming that every 10 seconds. And you'll notice around the sides of your screen if you have it active or not. Now for our firmware, firmware is annoying. I was trying to get the Skillcraft 2, just switching around gear, kind of annoying. Getting high caliber 3, this is really good because there's a few chances where we can actually pierce enemies at the same time, and this will delete them because with our neutron capture damage, it's going to get spread through everyone real fast, and you can kind of just play around it a lot. This also gives a slight gun damage boost, which is nice. Skillcraft 2, however, is really nice, and then if you get Skillcraft 3, Skillcraft 3 is probably the absolute best because that's just crazy. The darts are going to trigger this and give you increased skill damage, and the skill damage is going to further, like, this would just make the build even better. That's the reason, I did do this in Ultimate Vault Hunter 7, just my Ultimate Vault Hunter 6 playthrough is so much better that I want to showcase there, so this is unstoppable if you can get 3 points, just annoying to farm. Also, the new firmware and this firmware are available in Ultimate Vault Hunter 6, so don't stress yourself out, you can just play on Ultimate Vault Hunter 6. Another choice though is Deadeye, because we do have a decent crit chance, especially if you're using the critical hit knife. This further increases our crit damage, which is huge. I just like high caliber for general mobbing and bossing, so it's your choice here, but 3 Skillcraft, 2 Deadeye would be a solid option. Note that Deadeye is only gun critical hit damage, but for our weapons, I love the Flash Cyclone. This thing is just really, really powerful. You can also use the complex root. The damage from this is pretty insane. I also enjoy the new SMGs, like the Parasite. This is available for all free players if you don't have the DLC as well. Juliet Sparkle, if you can get a shotgun loader, is crazy. I'm not really using shotgun, like 3 shotguns equipped, but I didn't end up using anything outside of that, so you can use one of these as you're not going to be burning through shotgun ammo too much. I also enjoy going with something like the Dark Beast with a shotgun swapper. This is pretty crazy. Just Corrosive doesn't fit this very well. You can get an elemental swapper on it, but if you have the elemental swapper, you can't get the shotgun. It's kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. And the Flash Cyclone just does the trick. Jailbroken Gatling is a new one that always comes with the shotgun loader, and you can get a fire shock one. That'd be probably the best for this setup. I enjoy using this because it shoots really fast as well. There's the Broken Wings as well, which is a pretty fast firing. That's from the Stone Demon DLC. I tried the Constable, but you don't have ammo regen like our green skill tree build, so this isn't really worth using. The Golden God can work too, but again, this is another one that's difficult to use. But I also had some luck with using the Ripper Herald. This is crazy against Thol because you can actually get all the bullets to hit him, and it does actually a considerable amount of damage. So if you can get a Ripper Fire one, that'd be the optimal roll for it against this boss. Wombo Combo also is really nice because those underbarrel rockets also get to take our damage too. So I did try the new Lockjaw. It's okay for mobbing, but against the boss it's kind of tricky. And if you can find a Gomi that has a Ripper and a shotgun, I've not found that yet. I've been looking for it. That would be a really good roll. And also quickly mention the Rowdy Rider just because it's good for mobbing if you got the Vault card. I also enjoyed Crazed Earl. This is a really powerful weapon. The Bod, honestly, still solid, even though it did get nerfed. It's still pretty powerful, especially if you got like a radiation version of it. And also the Mantra. This is pretty crazy because it deals melee damage, so you can actually get this to hit really hard. This is my preferred weapon against Bloom Reaper, oddly enough, because it will ricochet with the Jacob's parts, and it does splash damage. It's crazy. And its splash radius is 50 centimeters, so it actually does a pretty considerable amount of splash. So this would be my favorite for Bloom Reaper. This is my favorite for Subjugator and Thol. And for our specializations, funny enough, I was able to get the platinum time without even equipping I am a gun. I was being dumb. This gives our action skill more damage. We need that. We need as much action skill damage as we can, and action skill critical hit chance. It's not often that it happens, but every single boost to our DPS matters. I also like Contamination because critical hits will give us increased status effect application chance. We deal pretty much just, we're Maliwan's favorite. We do a lot of that, so Contamination works great. And Riddle You this, giving us 50% gun damage. This will scale up really quickly when using the Flash Cyclone or any of these shotgun loaders that I was mentioning. All right, so going against the boss here, we're gonna load up with our, I'm doing this live right now. We wanna load up with the fire rate, and I would recommend throwing one of these right into the eyeball there, activating it, and then our damage will get scaled up pretty insane. If you can get, nice, got real lucky there. That did not happen in the intro video. And when Thol comes down, he is going to be a little bit more resistant, so I like to throw a few of these daggers just so that we got that working on him. And this will scale up the damage of our action skill as well, so that you can go ahead, blast away, and you see there the damage is pretty insane. Be hopping around though, that's going to help out. Didn't get enough crits to keep our ammunition flowing, but with our confirmed of reality, we're actually able to get our action skill back pretty quickly. So you can see there, I always like to be chucking grenades, or throw a grenade out, and anytime that you're able to get your fire rate up, that is ideal here. So yeah, he's doing his gloating attack, so boom, we'll hit there with that, and just enough. Nice, we got him there. Now this part's hard because there's an invincibility phase and we pretty much only want to be shooting at Subjugator. Thol can be used to farm our action skill back, but really we don't want to fight just Subjugator because he has the Elemental Eater effect. This is one of the builds, like, I really wish they didn't do the Elemental Eating effects just because it's so rough against this build. But you can see our ricochets are actually doing, yeah, nice, that was actually pretty solid. We do not want to fight Subjugator whatsoever though. I hope that the future raid bosses do not have that mechanic. You can sometimes stand on that when he jumps down and you do get hurt, but you can go to the ground fast. And the trick here is to throw your knives into him and load them full of them. Whenever you do your action seal, start chucking them again, and then activate it. So that's going to give you the max amount of damage onto your gun here. So that is kind of essential. And then you get your action skill back so quickly. So you can throw it out again just so that you can sometimes hit. If you can hit multiple of the enemies in the arena, that is ideal. We're obviously going to be aiming towards Thol the most, but since we get our action skill, oh, that was a bad throw. You want to be using that as much as possible. We got our action skill back already. Boom. Try to hit as many as you can with it. It shoots off those darts, which gives us even further damage here. And boom. Just keep chucking your knives at them. Now, they will spawn in these guys. If you see his health bar not getting damaged, I get a lot of questions about this. Basically, what's happening is you don't have enough damage to take care of the other guys in the arena. You want to try and take care of them as quickly as possible because, oh, I hate that attack. What happens is basically they are going to be giving him shield, and that's obviously going to hurt us pretty badly. I was losing my train of thought there while getting knocked around. We got our action skill back though. Shoot the rainbow guys to get your action skill back. That's kind of an essential part of this build. They are healing them quite a bit, but you can burn through it pretty good. Oh yeah, we're starting to melt him there now. This is live, so obviously I'm trying to think of what to say here, but we got the platinum, as you can, oh, I thought I got, there we go, platinum time. So it's doable live while I'm talking to a camera. Again, I'm in Vault of Vault Under 6. It's just the first phase is the most annoying. Subjugator can actually eat up a lot, but it's better to have the first phase be tough than the last phase. So let me know your thoughts in the comments, hit the subscribe button below, and we'll catch you guys all in the next one.